Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So earlier in my trip this summer, I talked about pivoting my career here in Taiwan, but I quickly realized that it's not so much career that I want to pivot. I During my trip here, I went on quite a I did more dating in 1 month than I did 1 year back home in Phoenix. Right, I met a couple of girls through apps, and then there were three more girls through the speed dating events, and then another girl through a friend of mine that I met at the hostel. Well, not quite more than 1 year, but more productively than 1 year. There, a lot of dating back home in the U.S. is really just wasting time. Really, it's just glorified prostitution almost. I'm not joking when I say that. Maybe without the sex, but a lot of dating back home in the U.S. is really glorified prostitution. Let's get that out of the way. More productive dating in 1 month than I had back home actually in my entire lifetime, probably back home in the United States, right? But at the same time, I realize there's benefits of living in the U.S. as well. Obviously, the only reason I could live like a king here in Taiwan is that I'm taking income from back home in the U.S. to spend here, right? And I'm thinking it's not necessarily career pivot that I want to do, but rather spend more time here in Taiwan, right? Maybe especially every summer because I want to get away from the hot weather in Phoenix. I think Phoenix is not so bad if you lose the hot summers there. Now that I think about it, when I think back at the last 3 years, if I can lose just two things, the hot summers and also the long commute, that might be a little bit trickier. When I get home, I'm going to see if I can network more. If I can network with somebody near campus and have good quality roommates to live with, that might be doable. Of course, it's easier said than done, right? But now that I've got dating out of the way, I think I can make better roommate connections. A lot of times, roommate connections get tainted by wanting to date within the circle, right? Now that my dating life is taken care of here in Taiwan, it might not be so bad anymore, right? If I could lose the long commutes, I'd be the happiest man. Lose the long commutes in the hot summers in Phoenix. I think I'd be the happiest man in Phoenix. I really would be. Now that I think about it, because a lot of my upsets revolve around those two things, right? And also find good roommates, right? But a lot of times, the reason I have crappy roommates is that I try to date through the circle of roommates, right? Right? For example, let me give you an example. I was living in a house 2 years ago, and one of my roommates was very sensitive to noise. Now, they're sensitive in the sense that, if I go home at 1 in the morning and I turn up Taylor Swift as loud as my computer speakers will go, yeah, somebody's going to most people would probably complain, right? But there's also sensitive in the sense that if I tiptoe into the house at 11 o'clock and because I work two jobs, I got to cook dinner and eat and then clean up, right? And maybe when I get to my bedroom, I might type on the computer, right? Keyboard clattering noises. And that some people will complain, right? I often wonder, leave a comment if you're the kind of person to complain about that. Are you really disturbed to the point that you can't sleep? Or is it just, hey, I hear noise, I'm going to complain? I'm always curious, the mindset of somebody who complains about those kind of noises, right? I'm always curious. Or do you have like a disability of some sort? Or is it, I hear something, I'm jealous because somebody's having fun at 11 o'clock. Maybe they're logging onto their social media and they're having so much fun. I gotta disturb that, right? I wonder if that ever goes on. Feel free to confess if you've ever had thoughts like that, right? But if I had a sounder foundation to sit on, somebody making a frivolous complaint like that would probably bother me a heck of a lot less, right? Unfortunately, 2 years ago, I was far from having a sound foundation. I had just started my job at the Maricopa colleges. I had just started my art career. I didn't have a whole lot of money. If I needed to move in a hurry, I didn't have much. I didn't have a dating life, right? And a lot of I've learned in life, especially in American life, maybe not so much here in Taiwan, there's less of a right or wrong. There's more of a right or left. Are your views popular, right? Do you have people backing you up, right? And also, there's more of a whether or not you have resources to defend your position. You could be the rightest person in that apartment or in your office, but if you don't have resources to back it up, like at work, if you don't have 100 other jobs you could go to, or at the apartment, if you don't have money to quickly leave, or if things go south, to quickly look for a hotel room because you just got into a big fight with your roommate. A lot of times, whether you're right or wrong is trumped by whether or not you have resources, and whether you're right or left, right? Are your views popular? I've learned the hard way that that's how American culture behaves a lot of the times, even at the workplace, even in extreme cases. If you get in trouble with the law, right? A lot of times that right or wrong often takes a back seat to other matters, right? Um, that's just really tough for me. And but I'm thinking that of spending more time here, having my social life here, and then just be a worker bee the rest of the 10 months and accumulate as much resources as I can, and then come here and date, right? And spend time with the one grandmother that I have left and a few extended family members. That's what I'm thinking now, right? And then stop thinking about dating or maybe maintain the connections I have back here, but not date back home in the U.S. during the other 10 months, and just accumulate as much resources as I can, and then come here and date, right? All right. I mean, career pivot might work, but this other solution seems okay as well. This is the Peter Alike Show. Bum 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 bum.